Hi there. Good evening. Welcome to Seymour Congregational Church. My name is Reverend Tammy Tice Satterley, and I'm the bridge pastor here at Seymour Congregational. And I am thrilled to see you here. Yesterday, I gave a sermon about an invitation, and I shared a story about when I was a little girl. And it was hard to have a birthday party because my birthday is August 1st. And there were a couple of years that nobody came. And it's always been my biggest fear every time I host an event that I'll be alone. And I'm so thrilled for you joining me tonight, so thank you. Tonight is a very, very special evening. I am so thrilled that you said yes to this invitation to join us as Barbara Becker, my dear friend and colleague, is going to share her book with us. And we have Jane Farrell from the Get in Touch Foundation who's going to talk a little bit about her organization. Tonight, because this is a church, I would like to start us in an interfaith prayer that was written this past week by my dear friend, Rabbi Haviva Nur David, who lives in Galilee. And this is a prayer that was written by a group of interfaith faith leaders in Galilee. And considering all of the difficulties that are going on there in the Holy Land, I hope that you will join me and join our hearts together in the spirit of prayer. May the one who blessed those before us bless all those suffering from the devastating atrocities and their aftermath in our midst. May the souls of those departed because of violence and hate and its reverberations rise and find peace. And may their loved ones find comfort somehow, some way. As the psalmist reminds us, God is with the brokenhearted. And may it be your will, divine womb, that we are able to bring home those precious humans taken captive or still missing. As Jeremiah laments, a voice is heard in Ramah, mourning and great weeping. Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. Please, God, bring your children home. And please, source of life, give us strength to continue loving and building trust and friendship across boundaries and amidst the hate and separation. As Jesus preached on the Mount, but I tell you, love your enemies and those called your enemies, and pray for those who persecute you, that you may all be children of God, who causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and who sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. Please, divine force flowing through all, give us strength to carry on, to cling to hope, to the belief that one day there can be a better world. As Muhammad declares, O Allah, you are peace, and from you does peace emanate, and to you shall peace return. Bless us, please, O God, with peace. Amen, Amin, Inshallah, and so it is. Namaste. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce my dear friend Jane Farrell, who is the Executive Director of the Get in Touch Foundation. And I'm just going to turn this mic on for you, Jane, so people can hear you.
Hi, everybody. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, and I'm so grateful to Tammy and to Barbara and to Dave for letting me be in your midst, and of course all of you for coming out. So thank you so much, and for that beautiful prayer. I'm going to start, and I give a lot of presentations about this, and this is not going to be that presentation, so bear with me, it's going to be a little off the cuff. But I wanted to start by just mentioning what I'm not wearing. I am not wearing a pink tiara, and I am not wearing a pink feather bow, and I'm not even wearing a pink tutu, although I am cheating a little bit with the pink. October is Breast Cancer, Breast Health Awareness Month, and we're really surrounded by pink everywhere. And you know what? In my line of work, you gotta lean into the pink, right? Pink is very much connected in people's minds with breast cancer, with breast health, and it's a good thing I love pink. And I think pink is hopeful, and it's cheery, and I love pink. But I also worry a little bit sometimes, because I think pink is also a really pretty color. And cancer is not pretty. And it worries me sometimes, because I feel like the feather bows, and again, as pretty as a lot of these things are, they're also taking our mind a little bit off of what is the reality of what we're talking about. And that's one reason I'm so grateful to Tammy for inviting me to come during this month and be in this space and talk with all of you about sort of some of the ultimate things that are involved here. I live with someone with cancer. He has had cancer since 2008. I'm very well aware of the fact that cancer is not, in fact, pretty in any way, shape, or form. So I appreciate very much that we're talking about some of the bigger issues. And again, nothing against pink. I was driving in, looking at everything that Seymour Pink put up. It's glorious. It's gorgeous. But at the same time, it was name after name after name of women who aren't with us anymore because of breast cancer. And so that reminds me, right, of that side of the pink. So what is the Get in Touch Foundation? Why am I here? Why was I invited? We really think that as few women and men as possible should ever have to go through breast cancer. We think that people should become aware of breast cancer risk early. We think that they should be conscious of their own body. And as a result, what we do is we operate primarily in the school and the young people space to educate young women and men about their risk for breast cancer and about how to examine themselves for breast cancer. Our message is very, very empowering, okay? What we believe is that you know your body better than anybody, okay? So what we do is we encourage people to do their own breast self-examination, to know they're normal, and to be proactive if they do notice something. We know that about 40% of breast cancers are detected by women who find their own lump. That's a pretty high amount. So what we've done is we've developed a teaching tool, and we work primarily through school nurses and other health educators to bring this information to people, again, primarily in the school space, although we are also expanding into the community, working with community-based health organizations. Obviously, I know that it affects women as they go through their lives. So we have a number of teaching tools, a number of reminders, different things that you can use to remind yourself to do your breast self-exam and to know you're normal. So I'm going to quickly finish up before I get the time out from Tammy. Usually people say don't give numbers, right? Everybody taps out when you start giving numbers. So I'm just going to give you two numbers, which I hope that you will land. I ran the numbers before I came here, and in terms of our teaching tools, about 40% of them are distributed to white or Caucasian students, which means 60% are not. So that is, I think, a wonderful impact. We know that women of color are less likely to survive breast cancer. So the earlier that it's detected, the better the chance they have for survival. The other significant number is that about 67% of our resources go to people who are categorized as economically disadvantaged. So when we're supported, that's something that we can do, that we can bring those resources for free to people in economically disadvantaged communities. So without further ado, I would like to turn it over to Barbara. And again, thank you.
Thank you again for being here tonight. And I just want to quickly say thank you to the organizations that helped put these goodie bags together that you received. TEAM, the Milford Rape Crisis Center, which provides services all throughout the valley. The Get in Touch Foundation, you'll see that you have your own daisy wheel in your bag, and among other organizations in there. So I hope you're able to put those things to good use. So without any further ado, I want to give you a little background about Barbara. Barbara has dedicated the last 25 years of her life to partnering with human rights advocates around the world, pursuing peace and interreligious understanding. Barbara and I met in seminary at One Spirit Learning Alliance, where Barbara was a dean. And I am so thrilled that she made the trip up from New York City to be with us today. She's an ordained interfaith minister who bridges the sacred and the secular. And she has sat with hundreds of people at the end of their lives.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Reverend Tammy, for inviting me. And Jane, it's amazing to stand alongside of a breast cancer organization that has transformed despair into hope. And I just really appreciate that. And a special welcome to, we are being taped, we're online and we're in the room. And I just wanted to welcome especially my fellow breast cancer survivors and thrivers, and all of the people who support us, because we need all of you all the time. So I wanted to start off by telling you about my earliest childhood friend. Her name was Marissa. And Marissa was one of those people who could light up a room with her smile and her just unfailing sense of kindness towards everyone, and towards every cat, really. We met when we were 5 years old, and she and I spent countless hours out frolicking in the woods behind our home. And we were joined in a very sisterly bond. And when we went off to separate colleges, we would look forward to Christmas at her family's house. They always did this elaborate Italian dinner. And Marissa and I would sneak off and have time together where we would review what had happened over the past few months. And it seemed like things would always be this way. But when Marissa was 30, she was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. And this was shattering for her parents, for her brother, for all of us who loved her. With the support of counselors and her faith community and the family and friends who adored her, Marissa made this very deliberate decision to make the most of the time that she had. Now, that expression, making the most of the time we have, can seem so trite, so easy to say, but very hard to live. But Marissa took it as like a GPS, like a guiding North Star. And instead of constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop, she oriented herself towards gratitude. She focused on what she still could do rather than what was taken away from her. Now, it was as if during that time her love of life was magnified. It was explosive. In that time, she married her college sweetheart, David, and they went with her family on a trip to Italy together. And she spent quality time with the people and the animals that she loved so much. And whenever she got the opportunity, she would tell every woman in her life to take care of themselves, do breast self-exams, never delay on their mammograms. She would have loved the Get in Touch Foundation. When I read these words by the poet Diego Perez, I always think of Marissa. He said, "Every day is not a great day. There are still plenty of challenges, but there's a new freshness to life, and the low points are not as low as they once were." You know, what an incredible gift that Marissa gave to all of us. I couldn't help wonder, though, what about those of us who are left behind, who are still here? You know, what are we to do going about our day-to-day lives? Can we too live with this sort of heightened sense of what matters most by acknowledging that we won't be here forever? So I set off on a journey to explore these questions, to try to see death as a compassionate teacher rather than, you know, what we see when we're driving around, the death with the big cloak and hood and, you know, the scythe and the bony finger pointing at us, beckoning us to come his way, you know. But, you know, I decided to really examine this. And in order to immerse myself in what it would actually mean to live with this more gentle perspective, I started a blog, a 365-day blog during Marissa's last year. And it eventually became the start of my book, which is called Heartwood, The Art of Living with the End in Mind. So it turns out, I discovered, that sages and saints throughout the ages have advised us that if we want to live the richest and fullest lives that we can possibly live, we should start living with the end in mind. You know, rather than denying our mortality, they say, and that of those we love, it is far better to acknowledge it. You know, rather than running in the opposite direction of death and really hardship of any kind, it doesn't even just need to be death, but what if we turned around and actually faced it and, you know, cast the light of our torches into the shadows to really have a better look? Now, it's a paradox, but this living with the end in mind actually can help us feel more alive. So you can sometimes catch glimpses of this in modern times. Take, for instance, Steve Jobs of Apple. You know, when he was 50 years old and had just undergone a surgery for the pancreatic cancer that would eventually take his life when he was just 56, he told a group of college students at a commencement address, you know, he said, "Death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life's change agent." And then he added, "Sorry to be so dramatic, but it is quite true." Going back through time, we hear this same call to live with the end in mind from the sayings of the Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, who said, "Let each thing you would do, say, or intend be like that of a dying person." And I see it in every religious and spiritual tradition that I've studied, which I love as an ordained interfaith minister. In the Judeo-Christian tradition, for instance, we hear the call to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So many of the practical suggestions I got about living with the end in mind came from my personal practice of mindfulness rooted in Buddhism. And after Marissa died, I learned about 2 Zen monks who teach people to be a compassionate presence at the bedside in New York City. And I apprenticed to them, and they assigned me to Bellevue Hospital, which is our busiest, most diverse hospital in New York City. And in the time that I was with them, I sat with nearly 1,000 people at the end of their lives. You know, I see it as one of the greatest privileges of my own life to hear how people make meaning at the end of their lives through rituals and through family traditions and through their spiritual beliefs, through nature even. You know, all of this thinking became very practical and indispensable to me when I myself was diagnosed with breast cancer. You know, in one of those strange twists of fate, I actually was having surgery for this cancer the day that Heartwood was launched into the world. So instead of having a book tour and the celebrations that a first-time author would have, I was at home with ice packs and painkillers, thinking about my own words and what they had taught me, all of these people who had come to the end of their lives. What did they teach me? You know, I had learned from them that life's profound lessons come not from the moments where everything is going along smoothly and easily, but when we're pushed into the rough waters, you know, where we must face our limits, sometimes even our breaking points. Our job is to acknowledge all of it. The Taoists say that this is a world of 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. And when we brush aside what's painful in life, we are aligning ourselves only with the joyful side of things. You know, we engage in what's called toxic positivity, which is so widespread in our culture. If you think about it, we hear these lines like, "Look on the bright side, it will all work out." And one I really don't like, "At least your cancer isn't as bad as hers." No. So, no. No, I'm saying no to this. It's okay to acknowledge the difficult, to make sense of it in our own time, you know, tentatively and courageously, and without this comparing mind, we begin to make peace with life as it is, you know, not as we would have liked it to be. The author Dennis Merritt Jones says, "A whole and happy life is riddled with obstacles. They become the very stepping stones that help lift us to a new perspective. It's not what happens to us that shapes us. It's how we respond to what happens to us." Now, when we lost Marissa, really she left behind a large hole that was never filled. And honestly, when I think about that, I don't ever want it to be filled. You know, what really surprised me, though, is that I have come to see this journey of living with the end in mind as one of resilience and of hope. Sometimes it can be downright fun. Oh, it's a clarion call to live life fully, to be present to the joys, the sorrows, to listen to other people's joys and sorrows, to share our own stories, and to write our own love letters to life. So Reverend Tammy and I wanted to share one of the ways that you can actually practice living with the end in mind. And I'll give you the little backstory on this before we actually give it a shot ourselves. Several years ago, there's an artist named Candy Chang, and she was living in New Orleans, and she lost the person in her life who was like the mother-like figure to her. And she was bereft, and she had noticed in her neighborhood there was an old abandoned building. And being the creative person that she is, she bought some chalkboard paint and painted the outside of a whole wall of this house and stenciled across the top, "Before I die, ... And then she had a bunch of blanks underneath it, and she left a whole bunch of colorful chalk, and people in the neighborhood started dropping by. You know, people of all ages. It became a gathering place for people to share their greatest hopes and their dreams. You know, things that they had kept as private aspirations became very public in a way that helped people to actually start taking steps to make these things happen. There are over 5,000 Before I Die walls that have now been put up around the world in 78 countries and 35 languages. Now, each one is a tribute to an examined life and is helping to destigmatize death line by line by line. Now, I've heard some pretty marvelous prompts that were answered. You know, I want to say I'm sorry to my brother. I want to fall in love again. I want to attend a Taylor Swift concert. So I'm going to invite Tammy up here to tell her story.
Thanks, Barbara. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I was born and raised in Milford, Connecticut, to a father who had Hodgkin's disease when I was young, and a mother who was diagnosed with a very debilitating illness and eventually landed in a nursing home for the last 15 years of her life. And I was a young mom. And my son is actually sitting right up here. Isn't he so handsome? His name is Nathan. You know, my mom wasn't around like I was expecting her to be as I turned into a mom. And I was so fortunate to meet so many wonderful women who filled in for my mom. Some of the women are right here, some former colleagues, my mother-in-law. And around the time that I was in my early 40s, I received my own medical diagnosis that really scared the daylights out of me. And my kids were still young, so this was about 9 years ago. My dad had recently passed, so I was very aware that life was not going to last forever. And having had two parents that were ill throughout my whole life, I was scared to death for my own kids and worried about the legacy that I would leave behind. And I wasn't sure if I would be there in their lives for a little while or a long while. And so I started to think about the things that I wanted to make sure that I would do before the end came, or whenever it came. And the first ones were really natural. One of them was, I want to see my daughter graduate high school. And my daughter graduated high school 2 years ago, so that's wonderful. Another was, I want to see my son get married. My son and his beautiful fiancée, Cassie, will be married in June of next year. The other was that I wanted to go to the south of France. More than anything, I wanted to go to the south of France. I For those of you who don't know, Mary Magdalene has been my guiding light. And as a woman who didn't have the mother she had hoped for, Mary Magdalene was the rock star that I needed in my life. So I really wanted to pilgrim to the south of France, where it said that she lived the last 30 years of her life. So I kept thinking, I'm going to go to the south of France. I'm going to go to the south of France. And I would visit my mom, who had always said, I want to go to Ireland. I knew my mom wasn't ever going to make it to Ireland. So one day, I decided I'm just going to book that trip to the south of France. So I booked my trip to the south of France. I want to tell you about somebody else who was a major influence during that time. And her name was Colleen, my sister-in-law. And Colleen lived her whole life knowing that her life would be short. And right before her 40th birthday, I took my daughter to the south of France and we traveled around. And while we were doing that, Colleen was riding on the back of a jet ski with my son Nathan with her oxygen tank on her back. Yeah, because she knew how to live and she did everything that she wanted to do before the end of her life. So I've been really blessed, like Barbara, to know people who've inspired me to live the best life that I have. And I hope that some of these stories will inspire you to think about what you would like to do before the end of your life. So we've planned on a little special activity for us to create our own Before I Die wall. And you've each, well, you will in a moment have some papers and a pen, and I'm going to ask Jane if she would pass these out to everybody. And think about some of the things that you would like to do before you die. And as you're writing, you may use one of the prompts like Barbara has shared, or maybe there's something else, some deep longing that you have in your heart. And what we'll do next is we'll come up here to the microphone. If you feel comfortable sharing it into the room with everybody, you're welcome to do so. Sometimes saying it out loud can be inspiration for remembering that you have made this commitment or vow to yourself. And then you'll come over and you'll take a little piece of tape over here and you'll post it up here on this giant Post-it note. And as they fill up, we'll hang them up here along the side of the wall. Now, if you're watching online, you're welcome to type into the chat, and we would be more than happy to add your desires for before you die to the wall. And my dear friend Dave is going to play some really beautiful music as you ponder what you'd like to do. And because I knew what we were doing, I wrote mine down already. So I'll start and model. And if you would like to do one over here, Barb, Dave, I'll bring one to you as well. And when you're ready, you can come up and announce and share to the room to affirm your longing for before you die. Before I die, I will finish writing my book. Before I die, I will write handwritten letters to the people I love and care about the most to say I love you.
I will go on a 3-month meditation retreat. I will meet my half-sister in England. And I'll write the 2 children's books that are always on my mind.
Before I die, I would like to be part of a medical mission. I've always wanted to do that. Before I die, I want to be a great-grandma.
Have a big, happy, healthy family, and have a vacation home in the woods.
So, before I die, I don't know if I can make this happen, but I would like to see my husband and his brother reconcile. And I would like to find somebody that I hurt in my past and make things up to her. And the last one is just silly. I want to through hike the Appalachian Trail.
Before I die, I will marry the love of my life. And before I die, I will see the world. So, when I first heard the exercise, my first thought was, I'm good. I got to I'm good. Like, I had seen that before and like checked a few things off, so I feel very at peace right now. But you can always think of more things. So I would like to be on TV more and for better reasons. Hopefully I've never made cops. Parent more in whatever way that means, either spending time with my children or having more children or grandchildren. It would be nice to travel more, especially with my children. I would like to get my book published. I've read it. I wrote actually like 4 or 5 books that are just sitting there because I find the marketing yourself step to be not the fun part of the creative process. I would like to meet my father, my brother, and my nieces and nephews who I have seen online and sort of chatted with but never actually met in person. I would like to create a beautiful, well, I said habitat, but home for my mother while she's still young enough to enjoy it.
and mine may be a little bit unusual. I don't know. So the first is reduce my possessions to a need-only level. The second is let go of the worries that cloud my peace and freedom. The third is to remember that service to others is the highest calling. The fourth is to practice smiling more. And the last one I put down is to see the beauty and meaning in a life of simplicity and peace.
Before I die, I'm going to be able to do handstands. Before I die, I would like to try pickled pig's feet. Before I die, I will sing with people until I laugh, until I cry, loving it all over again, forever.
Before I die, I will go to Salt Lake City and research my genealogy and share all the stories with my grandsons. Before I die, I will see Bob Dylan in concert one more time.
Before I die, I will learn to make a pie crust like my mom's and teach my niece Julia. My mom's not here, so it's going to be hard. Before I die, I will make sure my greatest mentor knows how much she still influences my life. Before I die, I will go back to Italy. And before I die, I will use my Ancestors.com membership.
Hi, my name is Gail. Before I die, I would like to see Stevie Nicks in concert. Her music makes me happy. I would like to take my husband to see Valencia, Spain, where I spent college year abroad in my 20s. I would like to see my daughter find a wonderful and special partner to enjoy life with. And I would like to see peace become a reality in the world.
Before I die, I would like to have my Stitch and Bitch friends gather to have one last laugh and party. Before I die, I would like to sit quietly in the woods to listen to the birds and be able to name all of them.
Hi, everybody. Before I die, I would like to see a sunrise on at least 3 continents. Before I die, I would like to serve underprivileged special needs children abroad as part of a mission or other. And before I die, I'd like to learn to surf with my boys.
die. Before I die, I want to return to Colorado to go skiing. Before I die, I will do yoga every day for a year. It's an aspiration. And before I die, I will help my mother have as many good days as possible.
Before I die, I will change hearts and minds. I will release the fear that keeps me small and expand into the full breadth of my being. I will write the book. I will reach the masses. I will reflect the truth. I will bridge the divides to bring people back to themselves, their truth, and each other. I will live my life as a love letter to my children. Before I die, I will learn to speak another language fluently. And before I die, I would like to visit India.
I will go to Africa on a gorilla safari. So it can be hard to come up in front of people to affirm the things that we would like to do. So I understand and respect that. So now, if you'd like to come up and add your before you die message to the board, you are more than welcome to. And please don't feel like you must speak it into the room. So I'm just going to move this over so we have some more space, and Dave will play just a little bit more music for a few more minutes. It's so lovely to listen to. And I'll give you an opportunity to think one more time about sharing. online. Before I die, I would like to see one of my grandchildren get married to the love of their life and vacation by the ocean with my family.
Thank you all so much for the bravery and the courage it takes to do an exercise like that. And you know, they say sometimes don't try this at home. I highly encourage you to try this at home. I mean, this is a really great way of perhaps, you know, Thanksgiving is coming up, like conversations around family gatherings with friends. You know, you'll find that your answers might evolve, and you'll find that you actually, now that you've spoken them or written them, might actually go out and do them, which is so wildly exciting. No, you know, please take good care of yourselves tonight, because the tenderness of this exercise stays with you for a while. And I'm just so appreciative of you all being here. We do have some books for sale if you're interested, and the proceeds go to support the Get in Touch Foundation. And I just want to say what an honor it is to be with all of you. Thank you so much for your kind attention, and go do it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to my party. It really means a lot to me. Barbara is going to be out in the narthex with me, so if you'd like to purchase a book, they are $25. We can take cash, check, or Venmo. And Barbara will gladly sign a book for you or for a gift if you choose to purchase a book. So thank you so much for coming out tonight. We're so happy to have you. And if you'd like to join us for worship, we're here at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Have a great night. What's that? Gail and the rest of our crew here are very friendly people.
It's on Yeah, it's that.